recording this in between two other streams. I just finished kind of what I would consider to be my first day back at work. I mean, we did Descent into Avernus yesterday, and that's work. It's content I'm making and being paid for. But today is really my first day back after the live show, and really after the trip to Hawaii, where I'm beginning returning to kind of my own business stuff. I'm doing office hours, doing first looks, basically just streaming on my own Twitch channel. And it's a mixed bag because on the one hand, it's nice to be back. It's nice to be able to dive back into that work. My Twitch stream is my main source of income, so you'd think I'd be spending most of my time there, which isn't always the case. But it's nice to come back and nice to be able to focus on that, but a little daunting given there was loss. There was a significant percentage of subscriber loss while I was away, and it's a little disconcerting or a little annoying or frustrating, or I don't know. It's a lot of little feelings. But it's happened before. I've done it before. I've gone on vacation before. I've been away. I've come back and I've rebuilt. So it's not that bad. It's not as though I don't think I can get back to where I was before, because I know I can, with your help, I guess. So thank you for that. I'm in between shows at the moment, right? I don't have enough time to really do anything major. I can't dig into a project right now, or I can't really even leave the house. I've only got a bit of time between the end of my last stream and doing all the VODs and the highlights and all that stuff, and the beginning of Court of Swords, which is in about an hour for me. So I thought I'd sit down and just kind of record a little bit of vlog stuff. I'm not leaving. This is a no leaving the house kind of day. This is one of those days where on the wrong day, if it's the wrong mood and I have a day like this, it can be really weird and isolating because I don't have time to leave. I get up, I stream, I edit, I eat lunch, and then I stream and I do that, and then I've got more writing to do tonight. I'm not going to be done until about 10 o'clock, and there's no time for me to really interact with anybody else or leave the house. It's going to be a big, busy day, but it's my first day back, and I'm basically getting the ball rolling on a bunch of stuff, so I don't mind too much. I don't honestly have anything in particular that I was thinking about vlogging about today. I am glad that everybody liked the reading of the first chapter of Pattern Recognition. That was cool. I'm glad you enjoyed that. It was cool getting that feedback. I would love to do a full chapter by chapter read through, long form of that book, but that's one of those things. You can't show other people's movies on Twitch or YouTube. You can't play other people's music. Technically, you can't perform a written piece of work. And I thought for a while about, and I know other people have done this, about doing a reading of something in the public, what is that called? The public domain, right? But honestly, none of that stuff really jumps out to me. All of the things I would want to read on stream are longer. I felt like it was okay getting away with one chapter. We might do chapter 2 at some point during Vlogmas, but I wouldn't feel right. And also, I'm legally obligated not to read the whole book that way. But I suggest if you liked it, check out the audiobook. There is a professional who does that exact thing, but much better than I do. So you're getting much more there than you would from me. I used to listen to audiobooks a lot more. Back when I wasn't really listening to podcasts, I would listen to them when I traveled, but now I find if I'm traveling by car, and we talked kind of about this the other day about that, I don't tend to listen to anything longer than a couple of hours, unless there's an episode of Hardcore History to listen to, then I'll listen to that. But I used to listen to audiobooks a lot, and I've listened to a fair number of them, but for some reason it just doesn't appeal to me right now. It's funny how that goes, hey? Sometimes I am really into a particular kind of media and I'll just binge it. I'll watch a whole TV show, or I'll read 3 books in a row, just one after another every day, just reading. I'll get really into comics for a while. But I don't know about you, but for me that urge to absorb a specific kind of media kind of ebbs and flows. I definitely find myself really excited about a particular thing and then having that excitement totally fade. And it used to be weird because I would feel strange, or I was betraying that thing. I get really into a game and I'd play a ton of it and all of a sudden I just lose interest. And then I'd almost feel guilty, and I don't know guilty towards whom. I would just be oh, if I were a real dedicated fan, I would never give up on this thing. I'd never change interests. But that's not really how it goes. I don't know that I have anything right now that I'm like super obsessed over. I guess Death Stranding still. Like I'm not playing it anymore, but I'm still spending like idle time reading about it on Twitter and looking at fan websites and looking at merch and buying merch and like just thinking about. I listen to the soundtrack a lot. That game like really hit me pretty hard. The playthrough will be available on YouTube eventually. I gotta cut it up, and most of it I think will probably be non-monetized, which is making it like it's a labor of love, because if I know I'm not going to make any money out of most of the video, it makes it a lot harder to dedicate time to it. But that game, I've just been thinking about it a ton, and it's nice, but it doesn't feel like an obsession where I like desperately want to go back and play it again. I felt like that at the end of Bloodborne. That's a game that made me play it again right away. But again, that same like, I don't know, I feel envious sometimes about people who are like diehard fans of stuff, like Jesse or JP. Jesse is really into Star Wars, and I know when a new Star Wars movie or book or comic or series or something comes out, that he is getting a very fulfilling feeling. He's feeling like, oh my god, like this is a thing I love, and there's a new version of it, or there's some new detail I didn't have before, and he gets that excited feeling, right? And JP with Marvel, right? Every time there's a Marvel movie, he's just like so excited about it. And I'm pretty envious of people that get drawn into fandom that way. Fandom isn't something that really, like even the stuff I love the most, like Dune or Akira or like Blade Runner, even then I don't feel that sense of like, oh my god, I'm so excited. Like, I can't believe this thing is coming out. I've had a few times where I felt that, right? Persona 5, I felt really like excited and giddy the sort of day it came out. But generally speaking, like I'm excited, but I'm excited kind of from a distance. And it might just be my like clinical lifelong struggle with depression talking, but like I just can't find myself getting that hype about like a new release or whatever, new episode of something. And maybe that's just how it feels to get older, right? Maybe that's what it feels like. Like you don't get that excited about things. When I was a kid, I remember I would get a new D&D book, and you couldn't drag me away from reading it. Like I would read it in the car, I'd read it in my room, I would read it in class when I was supposed to do math. Like I would have to read it. I would have to engage with it. Or like, I would get a new model or something, and I'd just have to run home and build it. Like I couldn't think about anything else. And I think maybe like in my experience as I get older, I care about less things, right? I'm my intent and focus is on fewer people, fewer hobbies. I pretty much only care about like 4 or 5 things max now. And I care about them deeply, but I don't feel that like burning intensity, that like shock of excitement. I don't feel that need to just 100% on anything anymore. And I don't know if that's an age thing or if it's like just a ennui of being alive thing, but I'm envious. If you have something that you're like really, really passionate about, like just enjoy it, I guess is all I'm saying. Like just really like hold on to that feeling. If it's a crush on a new person in your life, if it's a movie that you just can't wait to watch, if it's a TV show you've watched 100 times and you can't wait to start 101, like really just take a second to appreciate how much you love that thing. I've really come to value both in myself and others that sense of passion when it arrives. And sometimes for me, it's just as good, if not better, sharing something that I like with somebody and finding out it became their favorite thing, right? And I think to me, that's a big part of what I like about streaming, where I'm allowed to, and it's part of my job, to show off stuff like new role-playing games or new music or whatever. And then when people say like, oh, I didn't know about X until I watched your stream and now I love X. Or I never played Y before, but watching you play it made me want to play it. Or, you introduced me to Z, which is my new favorite music or movie or TV show or video game or whatever, right? That's a big part of the appeal for me, is that I get to feed off of, like a little psychic vampire, your excitement about new things. Which I guess is why I'm so enthusiastic about showing stuff off. It's not just like, hey, here's some movie that I like, let's do trailer time and I'll show off how smart I am about movies. It's, let's all learn about new things together. And that to me is just like, ooh, it feels good. Even if I generally feel like my level of passionate engagement with stuff is going down over time, that the older I get, the more kind of like curmudgeonly I am about this stuff, or the less excited I get about things. It's assisted or repaired or ameliorated in some way by sharing that stuff with other people and watching them get excited about it. You know how, like, you may have seen a movie 100 times, but there's something really special about showing that movie to someone that you are interested in or you care about, right? So for me, that's kind of the same thing. I guess the stuff I'm still really passionate about, the stuff that I care about and think about every day, you know, besides like specific people that I care about, relationships in general is just something I think about, mine and other people's, how people relate to one another. Photography obviously is another big one. And this is like an offshoot of that, right? Vlogging and creating video content, but capturing images and sharing them and getting people's feedback on that. And then obviously role-playing games, right? Like those are kind of the things that make up the core pillars that still to me feel, if not that burning meteorite of excitement, they feel like stable, solid anchors around which all of the other things that I do kind of rotate, right? Like most of my life is touched by role-playing games. It's touched by photography because I take pictures of everything and everyone that I encounter, and then relationships, right? Like how I relate to people is something that takes up as much space in my brain, and you can see that in my work, right? I play RPGs. My RPGs tend to lean towards themes of interpersonal connection, right? I take pictures of people, of strangers, of people I know. Like all of that stuff is interwoven into the way my brain works. And it's sort of part of what we were talking about before about like masks and stuff and this idea of developing your identity. That might change, right? I got into photography 10 years ago and I've been playing role-playing games almost my whole life, but there have been big chunks where I'm not taking any photos or I'm not playing any RPGs. And right now, that feels as foreign as saying there are times where I just speak French instead of English for months at a time. Like that just, like I guess I could do it, but like, ne pas de language, thank you. So it's an interesting thing. The older I get, the more those pillars feel like they develop, and for something to topple one of those pillars or to change what I'm deeply into, it takes more effort than maybe it would have when I was 12 or 15, right? And I guess that's what happens to brains. You solidify, and I think that I'm open to new stuff. I think that I'm trying very hard to keep my brain plastic enough that I can, you know, try new things and get good at new skills. And I feel like broadcasting and streaming and content creation is proof that, you know, I can still do that. I'm only 36 and I was only 31 when I started doing this. So that's not too late to start learning new skills, but I'd like to believe that if I keep looking at new things, experiencing new stuff, it's going to keep my brain fresh and open so that I don't just become one of those people that's an obnoxious grognard that's like, there's only 2 good movies and 1 good role-playing game in the whole world and everything else is crap. I don't ever want to be, like, I'm excited about being old and wizened and experienced and strange, but I want to still be open to new ideas, and that's something that's a priority to me, I guess. Even if I haven't found anything that I necessarily, like, light on fire for, it's cool imagining the world may still have some surprises for me. And one of those surprises is that a human person needs to eat or they will die. And so my stomach's starting to rumble, and I need to eat something before we do Cortiswards, or I'm going to be a terrible game master. I know we have a big, important moment coming up. So I guess this is just a ramble vlog, and that's what we're going to get. So thanks for watching, and we will see you again tomorrow for another episode of Vlogmas. I'm trying to think what I'm doing tomorrow. Streaming, working, streaming, probably not leaving the house, maybe going to the coffee shop. I don't know what tomorrow will bring. It might just be another hangout and ramble for 15 minutes, but you know, we got another half a month left to go. So keep an eye out for more vlogs. We'll see you tomorrow for the next installment. I hope you're having a good day. Mine's going pretty good so far. Bye.